Hey, welcome back to LETR Custom Baits. I'm Joe Gentry. Today we're going to be painting this suspended jerkbait with a foil, and we're going to be painting it with a crappie pattern. I'm going to show you step by step how to do that. Let's do it. Okay, so for this foiled crappie pattern, this is kind of our little ingredients list. We've got our 110 suspending jerkbait blank. We have some foil tape. This is the self-adhesive style, and this is just foil tape that you can buy at any hardware store for any HVAC projects. We've got opaque black paint from Createx, pearlized white, opaque white, pearlized lime, I believe it's called, and some Vallejo color shift that is green, gold, cold blue color shift. That's the only paints I'm going to be using for this entire bait. For the foiling process, we're going to start out by taking a strip of this foil, holding it out where it's about a ½ inch longer than the bait on both sides, and then we're just going to cut it off straight. It doesn't have to be perfect, and you're going to be cutting it again. Next, you want to take your bait off of the helping hands or whatever you normally have it in. And actually, before we get that far, we're going to take this. This tape is tall enough to where it will cover both sides of the bait in one strip. So what we're going to do is take this tape and we're just going to cut it right up the middle best we can. And again, it doesn't have to be exactly perfect because we're going to be cutting it again after we trace this out. All right, so now you're going to want to get a pencil or a pen or whatever you prefer to use. And you're going to lay your bait on the tape, on the paper side on the back, so it's the back side. And you're going to want to trace. And for me, this is important because I want to trace it the same way every time to ensure that the seams on this bait are all going to line up the same way. Okay, so I've got it completely traced. That's the right side of the bait. Since this bait is pretty symmetrical top to bottom, I mean, you could probably tell that just in case I'm going to write right side. And then we have that. And you can connect the dots if you want in the spots that didn't connect, not that big of a deal. So now we need to do the other side. And that'll be the left side. Now we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut them both out. Be as smooth as you can. We're back to kindergarten class here. All right, now we have our left and right. We're going to go ahead and apply these to the bait. Now I just want to go ahead and say some of the other videos you may have seen of mine, I go over the process of how I clean these baits with just some warm dish soap, glove up, take all the precautions you can to make sure the bait's clean, doesn't have any grease, oils from your skin or anything like that on it. And that's going to help with the foil sticking to the bait really well. And before I actually stick it on there, I just wanted to kind of illustrate. You have to be careful too when you write on here. I forgot, but it actually kind of transfers through to the tape. So how I'm going to apply this, because I don't know how well I'm going to be able to get it in the camera, but I'm going to peel this tape off and I'm going to stick the head on first, and I'm going to kind of lay it as I go to line it up with the side of the body, and then we'll go on to the next step. So you may have to use a scalpel or something, especially if you keep your gloves on for this step. This stuff isn't the easiest to peel. Yeah, I'm gonna have to use a scalpel. There we go. Also, something to keep in mind, you can already see how it's curled up right there. If you're using this HVAC foil tape, this stuff has like a really bad memory and it wants to curl up. So whenever you peel it off, you're going to want to make sure that you have a hold of both ends of it, or you have a finger in the way or something, or it's going to want to curl up real bad. See, just that, even after I straighten it out, it's wanting to curl up. And a lot of times it'll curl up on itself. Once this stuff sticks to itself, it's pretty much ruined and you got to start over. The good thing is it really doesn't stick to these rubber gloves all that badly. So I'm going to go ahead and put this, I don't know how well it's going to pick up, but I'm going to put this right there past the eye. I don't have it going all the way up to the very tip of the nose. And then before I press anything else down, I'm just going to kind of make sure it's running close to the middle of the body, and I'm just lightly pressing just to get it to stick. You can pull it back up some if you need to. And there we go. There's your finished bait. Let's go fish this thing. Looks good, doesn't it? No, just kidding. So, next thing you want to do, and you're going to have to do these one side at a time, but you can take your thumb or your fingers and you can just slightly start rolling that over, trying not to get any creases like I did right there. Now you will be able to get those out. Don't panic if you do have creases. And I'm going to go ahead and skip past the gill area here, and I'm just going to start rubbing this with this round pencil, same one that I traced out with. And if you just rub real gently, you can get a lot of those little wrinkles out, and you're going to start seeing that detail. You're going to start seeing that detail come in. And you're also, it's really going to smash down that edge to get it really smooth with the plastic of the blank. So right here we have a wrinkle. We're going to have to be careful around this area. I'm trying to kind of hit it square on. Same with right there by that eye, and it kind of took it right out. Also, I hope this isn't blinding anyone, because the reflection from this light inside my light up here is inside my booth is reflecting off this bait and blinding me right now. So who knows what this bait will look like, because I can't see anything right now. So you basically just want to keep rubbing it until you think you have enough detail. You want to be careful because this stuff is pretty fragile. I can already see some small scratch marks in the foil. Once it's painted and all that, they're not gonna pick up as much as you'd think. But so that's that side minus the gill area, and then I've got the wooden part of this pencil here. I'm gonna take and start trying to press, and you can use about anything you want. You just got to be careful with using anything that's super sharp. Like this paintbrush, honestly, is probably too small at the end. So if I tried to press like that, it would tear the tape. But if you have like any wooden paintbrushes or anything like that, the end of this scalpel, any square edges for like sharp edges like this that you can kind of press down in there. You just don't want to get carried away with it. Earlier I did one for this video just to kind of test and see how it would do. You can also use your thumbnail. It doesn't work as good, the thumbnail part, with gloves on, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and repeat that process and speed up the video just to save everybody some time, and I'll get back with you here in a second when we got all that done. All right, now that we have both sides of this bait painted, you can see all the detail through it. The foil's smooth over all the contours. It's just one of those things where you take your time and try to make it look as good as you can. And if you mess it up, you can always peel it back off. There's plenty more foil tape where that came from. And I just want to say too, for this pattern I'm going to paint, you don't have to foil it. I wanted to do a foil in the video, and I also wanted to try the foil just to get a little more reflection off of it. But you can absolutely do this pattern without doing the foil. You can just paint the bait white or whatever, or leave it clear. One thing I almost forgot, I gotta tape the bill off. I'm not painting the bill on this bait, so I'm gonna tape it off real quick. All right, I got the bill taped off. I didn't show that part really on camera. I think you guys that are watching these videos probably can handle taping off a bill. Nothing special about it. So we're going to take that opaque white, do a little test spray, and I'm going to paint the belly, and I'm going to stay as on the belly as much as I can, because the reflection on the side will really be dulled out if you get a bunch of white paint on it. So I'm just going to try to get as little white paint on the sides as I can and just barely carry the white up the belly, just over the edge basically of where the foil tape starts to kind of hide that edge. And it's probably going to take multiple coats, so just go slowly, let it dry a little bit, and then go over it a few times. Using the air from the brush now, this is a double action. So I'm just pushing down to let air out, and it's kind of drying that off faster. Now I'm going to go in and add some more paint. Really whiten that belly up. You're already going to see some of it's going to carry up down the edges, which is completely fine. You just don't want to get carried away with it up the sides. So that's pretty good there. Next, we are going to take this pearlized white from Createx, and we're going to spray over the belly. So I'm just going to spray this pearl up and down the belly, and I'm going to let it carry up the sides just a hair more than what I did with the other color. You're going to see that fade up the sides just a little bit. There we go. And then I'm going to hit those cheeks just a hair. And that's what we're left with. All right, we're ready for our next paint. Pearlized. It's Pearl Lime from Createx. Now with this, I'm not wanting to cover the whole bait. I'm not wanting to make it super opaque. I'm basically just putting a fine layer over the back that carries down into the belly a little bit. I want a little bit of that reflection of the foil tape to show through. So just a couple light passes back and forth, that should do the trick. Back and forth, that should do the trick. Perfect. Next, we're going to take this opaque black, get some in the brush. We're going to use a little bit of a stencil technique. Now for mine, I like a bigger pattern. I like something like this, even if it's a smaller bait. You can use, they make actual crappie stencils and all that. I just bought some random stencils. You can use something like this that has a smaller pattern. I don't know if that's picking up in the camera, but I wanted something with a little bit more of a standout pattern to it. Now, I'm not just going to hold that on there. What I'm trying to do is find an area where there's not some really big spots, and I'm going to try to line that up just so, kind of get it to flex around the bait. Probably did about like right there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go a little heavier on top, and then I'm going to fade down into the bottom to where that paint's just barely showing. I don't want a super solid pattern all the way down to the belly. I just want to kind of fade it down. That's not too bad. Now I'm going to go back in here with just a few little spots, and I'm going to darken up a few areas. Just to add some contrast. And most of the spots I'm doing that with are really small. So you're kind of left with something like that. While I'm on this side, I'm going to go ahead and darken up the eye and kind of darken up that face gill plate area. Like so. Now we're going to go to the other side. Now I'm going to go a solid pass over the back a few times with this black until it covers up the seams and kind of fade down each side just slightly to kind of fade into those pattern spots. There we go. All right, for the last paint we're going to be using this Vallejo Shifters green gold to cold blue shift paint. Now for this step, we're just going to go lightly over the back and slightly down the sides and not too heavy. I want that to kind of remain dark. I just want it to have a little color shift to it in the light. That's pretty good. Just a pass or two down each side. Good. And then I'm going to hit the gill plate area. There we go. And that's it as far as the paint goes. For the eyes, I got these directional eyes, kind of like Megabass uses. I got these from Peaky Lures. They seem pretty legit. Sucks you kind of got to wait a little bit longer to get your stuff, but I think it comes direct from China. But I bought a bunch of these jerkbaits. Bought a bunch of tiny clashes and some other smaller crankbaits like BFS stuff. And I bought all these eyes. So got a pretty good deal on them. And, you know, like I said, other than having to wait on the shipping, it's not too bad. Get them in there all the way. Now I'm going to get this tape off, put a signature on this bad boy, and then we're going to spray it with some UVLS before we clear coat it. All right, here's one that I have clear coated. I've got the hooks on it and everything. It's a suspending jerkbait. You do have to tweak them a little bit. I wrapped a tiny amount of stainless wire around that front hook. And I've got it to where it's almost suspending perfectly without sinking or floating. Got it to suspend perfectly. It's a good looking bait. You can see that foil kind of shining through in the middle. Got the hooks and stuff on it. I'll have to go see if some fish want to eat it. I know if I was a bass, I'd eat it. Well, guys, that's a wrap for this video. I hope you like this pattern. I hope this video taught you something. Give it a try for yourself and see what you think. In the comments, let me know any other patterns or anything you'd like to see in the future, or anything else you'd like to see on this channel. I really appreciate it. Thanks again to all the subscribers and everything so far. I'm Joe Gentry with Letter G Custom Baits. We'll catch you next time.